In this segment, Stephanie Miller is joined by Glenn Kirschner. Together, the two discuss the radical assaults on how the federal government works.
Yesterday we were celebrating out here because a judge ruled correctly to give the California National Guard back to California. It's in the name. Yeah. And then, as usual, Trump gets a delay, right? Gets a stay until Tuesday. I am urging caution and peaceful protest in L.A. this weekend because that's exactly what Trump wants. They're going to be here still this weekend under his control. And this whole thing has been a provocation, right?
Yeah, we need huge protests. They need to remain peaceful. But here's the thing, Steph. When we see what was done to Senator Padilla, excessive force, to this old prosecutor, it looks like a criminal assault. And I sure hope that the state investigates it because, you know, the federal government under Consigliere Pam Bondi, she ain't going to investigate it. So we need enormous peaceful protests. And here's the thing, Steph, when we see what they did to Senator Padilla, let it energize us, right? Let it fill us with determination to get out in the streets and topple the dang dictator peacefully. Yeah. You know, the tide is turning. This is not a show of confidence. This is a show of desperation by Trump and company.
And by the way, thank you. As an old prosecutor, you know, what is on videotape, I think Simone Sanders said it, there is no both sides to this one, folks. The government saying the senator lunged at the secretary and did not identify himself. We have video where we can see and hear the opposite. That means the government is knowingly telling lies to benefit their narrative. And it's this whole party. Nobody says anything, you know, then Lisa Murkowski and Senator Collins sort of tiptoe out. And then Mike Johnson, literally, I mean, I could not even for him, I couldn't believe this. Speaker Mike Johnson just called on the Senate to censure Senator Alex Padilla. You read that right, the American Fascist Party at work.
Yeah, the Republican Party is all in, behind the aspiring dictator, Donald Trump. But here's the thing. When you are on federal property and you assault somebody, you've actually violated the laws of two sovereigns, the federal government and the state of California. Remember, this assault happened in the state of California. What I want to see, Steph, is the California prosecutorial authorities open a grand jury investigation and, carpet bomb people with subpoenas, everybody who was in the room that day. And let's see if there was a criminal assault in violation of the laws of California.
Yeah. And also, as we said, his office is in that building, Glenn. Everyone knew who he was. Right. You telling me Kristi Noem doesn't know the senior senator from the state, the largest state in the union, who heads the committee
oversees
Homeland Security?
Yeah.
Please. So let's talk about this. In a late-night order, last night, the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court paused a court order that would have required Trump to return control of the California National Guard to Gavin Newsom. The Ninth Circuit's emergency stay came hours after U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer, Stephen Breyer's brother, ruled that Trump broke the law when he mobilized thousands of Guard members amid protests. So the three-judge panel, sadly, Glenn, here we go again, two judges appointed by Trump on this panel, scheduled a Tuesday hearing, meaning the National Guard will remain federalized through the weekend. So
that's okay, Steph. We're in it for the long haul, right? This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. It's actually a lifelong journey for justice. But let me read one sentence from what the lower court judge ruled, because when you read this 36-page ruling, it is rock solid, unassailable, and it should survive on appeal. But here's what he said. At this early stage of the proceedings, the court must determine whether the president, Donald Trump, followed the congressionally mandated procedure for his actions. He did not. His actions were illegal, both exceeding the scope of his statutory authority and violating the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution. He must therefore return control of the California National Guard to the governor of the state of California forthwith, meaning right now. And so,
this is why
let the appeals court try to make its way around this bulletproof 36-page ruling.
This is why you complete me and you had me at hello, because I had highlighted the exact same thing to read to you that you just read. Like if we were in bed at night and you weren't married and straight and, I wasn't gay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? If we were reading the court really to each other.
I didn't mean to steal your thunder, Steph.
Right.
Sorry.
It's all right, honey. Okay.
Oh, God. Stop it.
Breyer added he was troubled by the implication inherent in the Trump administration's argument that protest against the federal government, a core civil liberty protected by the First Amendment, can justify a finding of rebellion. Gavin Newsom called the ruling a win for all Americans. Make no mistake, he said it yesterday. I've been saying it. We're a test case. You know, they're coming hard after California because they want to make an example of us, right?
And they will lose. The administration will lose. This is desperation. This is not sustainable governance or, ruling, what he's really ruling. But listen, in the last 24 hours, Steph, we had so many Trump and Trump adjacent losses, right? The Proud Boys lawyer who's suing the Department of Justice, it looks like he's going to be suspended from the practice of law because, one, he's got a felony conviction, and two, he failed to let the judge know about it as is required by the rules. I hate when that happens to my lawyer. You have Mahmoud Khalil, right? The Columbia University student activist who's a lawful permanent resident here. A judge just said, no, Marco Rubio, you don't get to announce that he's a danger to our foreign policy and thereby detain him and deport him. And the judge put a stop to that. You've got Abrego Garcia's lawyers filing a scorched earth severe sanctions motion against DOJ and the Trump administration for violating court orders. And I predict Judge Sines will grant that sanctions motion. Steph, Donald Trump is losing on all fronts, which is why he gets more desperate, but why this is not sustainable.
I mean, by the way, you referenced, this is Christine Noem's, that's two or three despicables ago, that Abrego Garcia press conference where she's throwing out these wild charges.
Yeah.
A reporter actually said, is that in the indictment? She's like, well, no. I mean, just because they have to look tough, because they said he will never be back on U.S. soil. So, of course, they have to, throw out every wild charge they can, which is so inappropriate for the Attorney General. And then accusing Senator Padilla of, what did she say? Performance, whatever.
Theater.
When she's down there in her costume taking Abu Ghraib-like photos. I mean, Sorry, I'm going to... do you know how many swears I've swallowed since I started this show this morning, Glenn? But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and remember, Pam Bondi and others looked the American people in the eye and said, it's impossible for us to facilitate the return of Abrego.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, here he comes now.
Yeah.
I mean, come on,
Yep.
folks.
Yeah.
The lies, the disinformation, the propaganda, they're only fooling the gullible. I want to say it again, this is not sustainable.
I'm sorry, I got my Barbies. That I didn't mean Ice Barbie. I meant DOJ Barbie, Pam Bondi.
Pam
gave
Bondi,
the press
yes.
conference where she was throwing out the wild charges as Attorney General. Okay, so the judge, Breyer, seems skeptical of the Justice Department's argument that courts could not question the president's judgment on key legal issues, including whether the protests and unrest in L.A. constituted either a rebellion or danger of a rebellion. Breyer said, we're talking about the president exercising his authority, and of course the president is limited in his authority. That's the difference between the president and King George. Tell me
Bingo.
you didn't time that for the No Kings rally.
Bingo. And you don't see federal judges talk like that all that often. And, there are only 4 things in the statute, and Donald Trump violated all 4. There's no invasion. There's no rebellion. The federal government can still execute the laws of our nation, and he didn't issue the orders through Gavin Newsom's office. All 4 aspects of the statute, Donald Trump violated. That's why I like our chances on appeal.